Gosh, my guy just cannot catch a break. If you know me well enough, you know that I personally am Filipino. I was born in the Philippines, moved over here to Canada when I was a baby, thus I don't know the language of Tagalog and really only grew up speaking English. This is kind of why I feel I excelled in a communicative type of job. But either way, because there is some Filipino blood within me, actually I am fully Filipino, only Canadian by citizenship, I always talk about the Robertson bros in the NHL as being my guys. Jason Robertson on the Dallas Stars, very good player, top player in the NHL, he is a 100-point scorer. But his younger brother Nick on the Toronto Maple Leafs is not necessarily that. In today's video, what I wanted to do was go over the unfortunate path that Nick Robertson has had so far, and how things don't really look to be getting better in the immediate short-term future. Now, Nick Robertson, if you've been paying attention to the draft stories of the past few years, is a 21-year-old guy. So, definitely still young, definitely still has the capabilities of becoming better and growing into a consistent NHL player, but Robertson is 5'10", 183 left-handed guy playing on the left wing, drafted by the Maple Leafs in the second round of the 2019 draft. This was interesting because his birth date is September 11th, meaning that he was 4 days away from being eligible for the 2020 NHL draft. Had he been born just 4 days later, he would not have been eligible for 2019 in general. This is why, when he had his Draft Plus One season with the Peterborough Petes, scoring 55 goals in 46 games played, there was an extended amount of hype for this guy, and Maple Leafs fans were deservedly so super excited to see him suit up for the team. Add to this the World Junior stint, he was a point per game there, and he played a cup of coffee for the Maple Leafs in the bubble against Columbus. They still lost, but he played. But as the years went on, Nick Robertson was never able to find himself a consistent NHL role, partially due to the weird stipulations of the Canadian North Division, but also partially due to injury. Nick Robertson was never able to stay healthy enough to get a sustained amount of time in the National Hockey League, and the most games played he had in one season was 15. He did that last year where he had 5 points in that sample. He played a little bit more with the Marlies, and he was always pretty good over there. But of course, the Marlies is not the main goal. With this in mind, Nick Robertson is on the books till the end of 23-24 on his ELC, meaning that right now, there is one last shot here for Robertson to make an impact before he needs to get that contract extension. This is where we head over onto an article published by Luke Fox a few days ago, September 8th, 2023, Maple Leafs Mailbag. Biggest surprise, biggest letdown, big trade coming. What this article by Fox on Sportsnet.ca, by the way, link in the description, what this article does is it goes over the Robertson situation, and it kind of spells out the doom and gloom for those who are looking to see Robertson play 82 games this upcoming season. Now, you know how mailbag articles work. The reader sends in questions and the writer answers them. Breezy Dangles ends up asking this: is this the year that Nick Robertson finally establishes himself in the NHL? Medhurst also asks, does Nick Robertson make the team out of camp? Fox replies this: good question. Let's go with no. Even when Nick Robertson deserved to make the Maple Leafs out of camp last fall, lighting it up in the preseason, he was sent to the AHL's Marlies due to his waiver-exempt status. Coach Sheldon Keefe explained at the time, it's just kind of the reality of it and the situation, salary cap and carrying a tight roster. Well, the cap-pressed Leafs are once again carrying a tight roster, likely fewer than 23 bodies, and the soon-to-be 22-year-old Robertson is once again exempt from waivers, plus he hasn't played a game since suffering his season-ending shoulder injury on December 8th in 2022. A peek at Toronto's left-wing depth chart shows that Robertson will have to outduel Tyler Bertuzzi, Max Domi, Matthew Knies, and, say, Sam Lafferty to secure a spot. Among that group, only Knies is exempt from waivers, and his postseason revealed a cap-friendly NHLer. It says here, GM Brad Sherloving lets Robertson regain his strength and confidence in the farm before determining the kid's next big league look. That said, injuries happen. Robertson has plenty to prove entering a contract year, and the Leafs need to decide if he's part of their future. He'll get a mid-season call-up, health willing. And so with this in mind, for those who were on the Nick Robertson train this entire time, you might have to wait just a little bit more. Because with the Maple Leafs and their salary cap construction, we've always known this, they're tight against the cap, which is why they have to use whatever means necessary that they have available to them to save money while also keeping together the same roster. With all these guys on the left wing needing waivers except for Nick Robertson and Matthew Knies, it automatically places one of them as the odd man out. Especially if we wanted to go down the depth chart, Bertuzzi, Domi, Knies, Lafferty, those are 4 left wingers over there. Add Robertson into the mix and you have 5. The article states here that because Matt Knies played exceptionally well for the Maple Leafs in last year's postseason, he's pretty much guaranteed a spot. And as we had talked about a few videos ago, that's pretty much the case here with Knies. The guy was a superstar in the NCAA, came over to the Maple Leafs, showed off pretty well. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can make plays. Everything you need out of a potential Michael Bunting replacement is all kind of there in the profile Matthew Knies brings. Unfortunately for Robertson, he hasn't played in almost a full calendar year. It's been 9 months. So it doesn't really look all too great if you wanted to say, yeah, Nick Robertson is going to play 82 games in 23-24. The only way for him to actually do that is for him to firstly stay healthy. He's got to be able to get that longevity within his body to play a full 82-game season, but also he has to show off extraordinarily well, above and beyond amazing, in the preseason and training camp. If you wanted to say that Robertson has a chance to make the team and do the things that he's capable of doing, he has to show off that he can do that as early on when the season allows it, when the preseason allows it, because that's the only sample where you're going to actually be able to see what Robertson is capable of, especially after all this time off, and especially after recovering from injuries. If he goes out there in the preseason and he's automatically like the best player, absolutely dominant, more dominant than he was last year, then okay. If the Maple Leafs are put in a position where they have absolutely no choice but to play Robertson because he undoubtedly makes the team better, maybe that's the reason why he's able to make the team this upcoming year. But is that likely to happen though? I'm not really too sure. He already played well last preseason, but still didn't get the start. His waiver-exempt status is very valuable for the Toronto Maple Leafs to capitalize on and use him in the Marlies system. He doesn't have to go through waivers. There is no risk of losing him. Of course, injuries are permitted here, so Robertson will likely get himself a call-up once in a while. You're not going to see every player on the Maple Leafs play a full 82-game campaign after all, but regardless, this is a very difficult development path that Robertson has had so far. Part of it is due to luck, part of it is due to the injury problems he has sustained, which of course is not his fault, and also part of it is due to the situation of the Maple Leafs cap makeup as a whole, how this team is so strapped up, they need to exploit every avenue available to them to save money. And right now, when you talk about waiver-exempt guys on the left side who are young and have things to prove at the NHL level, Matthew Knies has proved more, and he's been more available to the team than Robertson has. So at the end of the day, by default, it's just Knies over him. We'll see what happens with Robertson as his season goes on. Obviously, if he's playing a full year with the Marlies, he's probably going to dominate that league. He already dominated last year when he played in 21-22, but heading into this upcoming year, hopefully we see more out of Robertson. Hopefully he makes the best out of his NHL stint once he actually gets called up, assuming he doesn't make the team right out of training camp at the preseason, which is not likely, but either way, when it comes to the Maple Leafs, nothing is really going for Robertson in terms of the opportunities bestowed upon him. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What should the Maple Leafs do here in this situation with Robertson? How good do you think he's going to be as the year goes on? If he finishes off 23-24 with, let's say, X amount of points and Y amount of games, how do you feel about where those numbers are going to lie? How many games is he going to play? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.